welcome to episode 64 of the Jez and Friends podcast. Today's special guest is Jack. How do you pronounce your surname, mate?
Melleuish.
Awesome. So, Jack's a running mate from Melbourne Uni, and we pretty much just finished our AV race and ran some PBs, so we'll touch on that. Jack holds PBs of 207 in the 800, 427.
426 actually.
In a 15, 1749. Obviously didn't prepare well in the 5k, and also has run quick in the marathon, which we'll touch on. And Jack's also a Bendigo OG and currently studying data analytics down at Melbourne Uni. So how's it going, mate?
Yeah, it's going great. Thanks, Jez. It's a pleasure to be on the potty today.
No worries. Great to have you on. Obviously, you've seen a few, and yeah, it's good to have you on. So we always start with hypotheticals, Jack. So this one is an interesting one. If you could be sponsored by any running brand, what would that be and why?
It's a great question. I haven't been in the sport of running for too long, so don't have a lot of experience with a lot of brands. But certainly back in my tennis days, I got around Nike, and I guess that's sort of flown into my running days here. Definitely super shoes. It seems like they're really leading the field. So it'd be wrong to go with anyone else other than Nike.
That's fair. I've been sussing out this brand called On Cloud.
Oh yeah.
Federer.
Oh yeah. He's become an ambassador. It's a Swiss company actually, so it goes well.
Well, I don't know, mate. I might give that a go, but see how we go. Nike's always the kind of pioneer of running and just sports in general. And I guess other than like running, obviously you grew up in Bendigo, and that's kind of like 2 hours from Melbourne. So do you want to touch on your experience there, and like how would you compare it to living in Melbourne now?
Born and bred in Bendigo. There's been a few notable runners that have come from there. I guess Andy Buchanan, if you had him on the potty. Went to school there. Got a lot of my mates that still live there. So I moved down to Melbourne. But in terms of the differences, I think the main, because obviously growing up, everything around you it seems very normal to you. So you think you grow up in Melbourne and you go, oh, this is just what life is. And I think that was what I experienced living in Bendigo. And it wasn't until I moved down to Melbourne that I realised there's probably quite a big difference between the two places. I think probably the biggest one is just everyone's very friendly. People in Melbourne are very friendly, but very friendly, but also very relaxed. Like you go there and everyone's down for a chat. You go for a walk, around the park or whatever, go for a run, and you say morning to everyone. I think another probably the tough thing from Bendigo is the distance from Melbourne. I think growing up, it was probably pretty annoying having to come down to Melbourne, a 2-hour drive if you got like school the next day or whatnot. Things like going to the footy. To travel, I guess 4 hours round trip can be annoying sometimes, but I don't regret, not that I had a choice, but I don't regret living in Bendigo. I thought it was great, and wouldn't change it.
No, it's awesome. I've got some family living down there. I think they own a fish and chip shop. I don't know if I sussed it out.
Do you know which fish and chip shop?
I don't even know.
Because there is one fish and chip shop. It's next door to the tennis centre, opposite Lake Runa for all those Bendigo locals, called Mixed Fish and Chips. You go there, there's, or at least when I was going there, you had, I think it was a father-son duo that was running the joint, and the father, he was all right, but if you get the son and you ask for chicken salt, he lathers that on, I tell you. And if you know me, you know I love my chicken salt. Definitely on a day where you might have played a bit of tennis, you go to Mixed Fish and Chips, you get yourself, some snapper or whatever, get your chicken salt on the chips, he lathers it on, it's a good day.
100%, I love a bit of the potato cakes as well, so...
Can't go wrong.
Yeah, and obviously you've since kind of transitioned to uni down at Melbourne Uni, obviously we run there as well a bit. Like, you're currently studying at the moment, and, what's the career outcome like with data analytics, and do you want to give us an outcome of like a course and yeah, how that works?
Yeah. Well, it is data science,
Yeah.
but it's all right. We're all a bit rusty today. No, so so I'm studying science, majoring in data science. So for those, because your listeners are around your age, I think.
Yeah.
So haven't come to uni yet, so you probably might not know much about data science. It's mainly a mixture between computing and statistics. I guess I like to think of it as you're doing statistics, and the language that you use is computer language. And so if you want to do some analysis of certain things, it can go into any field. You write particular pieces of code to make that analysis easier. I picked it, I guess, always growing up. I sort of had a soft spot for maths. It took, I guess, a while for me to come around to it, given I think maths. Well, I don't know. Maths is, I think, something that it can be frowned upon. That sort of it can be seen as a bit uncool to do, a bit nerdy, especially because I played a lot of sport growing up. And so I didn't, I guess, want to be seen as one of the nerds. But as you grow up, you learn it doesn't really matter. You follow your passions, and it's data science. It really seemed like the logical step for me to pursuing a career with a heavy involvement in maths. Yeah.
Yeah, facts, mate. I mean, I love maths when I was younger, but mental maths was absolutely insane. But obviously now it's kind of dried off, but still doing further. So. Yeah, and like I love statistics, Jack. I met Bruce McAvaney.
Yep.
Back in the day, but we'll touch on that later. But yeah, it's just like stats are useful in everyday life. And what about proving a point? Like the Essendon statistics and all that.
Like,
You know what I mean?
There's obviously the famous statistic that is still continually counting of days since Essendon last won a final. But yeah, oh jeez. So there's your proof it has been a long time. I guess that's a statistic that's always a sore spot for Essendon supporters. But it's interesting to bring up about proving a point, because I think statistics is one of those things where it's easily corruptible. Something that you've got to be very well trained to know how to use statistics well. And even, I'm about to go on my third year of university studying quite a bit of physics, and I wouldn't say that I know enough to give very well informed opinions, just because it's so easy to manipulate certain things to prove a point, even though that might not be the case. I guess you see that a lot these days of in the media. You'll see two different stories, both proving their points through statistics. Obviously both can't be true.
There's always one right.
Exactly, but we don't know which one. I think it's great to go into statistics and pursue it to a fairly high degree to get to that point. And so you can disprove people that are using statistics, trying to prove a point, and actually get to the bottom of whether they're actually telling the truth or not. Yeah.
No, that's awesome insight, Jack. And what about, obviously, I'm still in high school, but you've recently finished. But what was the subjects you kind of took, and how did that lead to data analytics or science? Yeah.
So I was it 2019? I had my year 12. I did in year 11 as my 3-4 a thing called systems engineering. I don't know if you've got that. You heard of it? It's a common theme through my childhood of tennis. But for systems engineering, we have to combine a mechanical and electrical system. So I decided to build a tennis ball launcher. But it didn't go well. I did get a final product, but it launched the ball about a meter, which for most viewers, they would understand that a meter is not good enough. But I was at least still proud of the accomplishment, even though it might not have turned out the way I wanted it. So year 12, I did English language, physics, chemistry, maths methods, and specialist maths. So again, a theme of mathematics there. Yeah, so I guess though, yeah, the maths there wasn't a lot of statistics. I don't know if there was any in further. There was a little bit. For a little bit further, I can't remember. It's been a long time, but I think you do a little bit more in spec, but not too much more. Actually, you call it spec in Melbourne, don't? Yeah, okay. That's it's actually a country thing that people call it spec and I don't know what there's no sh in the word special, so I don't. Anyway, yeah. So physics, when I first went to uni, was originally going to go into physics. I did physics for both my first semester and second semester of my first year. Turns out it's a very difficult subject. In year 12, I found it not too bad, but when you get to uni, it's next level. The level of math, like you start having to use university level maths to do physics, and it's like, nah, I've only just gotten to uni. And then chemistry, that was I don't know. Yeah, fair amount of stirring. It's when in year 12, you said it's far more. What's it called when it's pen and paper? Written stuff. You don't do a lot of. You do prac reports, but it doesn't make a huge difference to your final mark. I hope I remember correctly. And then we got English language left, which, as I guess the theme of math, science kind of thing, you'd imagine English language is probably not my strong point, or at least something that I enjoyed. And you'll be correct, I hated it. I managed to get through it. Luckily, my sister, who's far more in the English humanities kind of side, she did English language only 3 years early, 4 years early maybe. So she was able to help me out a bit, and I think that made a big difference, and managed to walk away, obviously passed in subject and got to uni, so because that's the main thing of year 12.
Yeah, 100% agree, and I just quickly, we don't want to diverge too far, but what was your nickname like? Did you have a
nickname? So my last name is Melleuish, which you might be on, I don't know what kind of nickname you'd be able to go with that, but through certain family matters, I actually had a different last name growing up. So it was at the end of year 12, I changed it to Melleuish, but growing up it was Cripps, which for the footy fans out there, you'd know Patrick Cripps has got a few nicknames. So growing up I got Crippsy quite a lot, and then towards when actually Patrick Cripps was making it big in the AFL, I got a lot of Cripper. And to this day, I've still, even with the last name being Melleuish, I've still got a few high school friends that still call me Cripper and things like that. So, probably not super inventive, but I get around them.
Like my nickname next year is going to be Jezza. So I guess we'll touch on a bit of work stuff now. So you work at Woolies, I believe, and you wear steel cap boots similar to me at KFC, which is a pain in the ass. But what's the experience like there, and kind of give us an insight on your role there?
Yeah. So I started working. Yeah, when I started last year, I moved to Melbourne for uni. I had to quit my job in Bendigo and find a new job, because I worked just at a local cafe that was just a little family business. So there wasn't like a big chain that I could transfer down to Melbourne. But I managed to get a job at Woolies fairly quickly. And in fact, it was a new store that was opening up in Yarraville. For all the viewers, if you want to come and check it out, it's I think it's like 6 Anderson Street or something in Yarraville. It's the best metro. So I started off as a bit of a shelf stacker, working 6 to 11 in the mornings. Monday and Friday. Well, I've got a part-time contract there, so I've legally they have to give me both Monday and Friday shifts, and then they can give me extra shifts if they need it. Which I've been fortunate enough that they have needed extra people and whatnot. So I've worked more than 10 hours a week for most weeks. But I think towards the start of this year, I managed to get a promotion to a duty. Thank you very much. To a duty manager there, which is on a Friday night, which basically just means that normally around 5 o'clock I'll start, which is when the store manager will be leaving, so they will hand over the store to me, and I'm sort of in charge from then till close. So I've got a bit of a list of things to do in various departments, making sure everyone's on the right track, doing fine. Which I'm pleased to say that I work with some great people that know what they're doing, and often because they're often in departments that are non-grocery that I haven't done any experience in. They're often teaching me how to do things, so that's great. It's a great job. The great thing about the metros, which is it's a convenience store type thing, a lot smaller, it feels a much more of a community feel. I think that we've only got maybe 25 employees, so everyone knows each other. Most people have been there since the start. So I think we've got a Christmas party in about a month's time, which should be good fun. So that's Woolies.
No, that's good, and obviously you touched on the cafe and Woolies as well, but have you had any interesting customer experiences, in your role? Not really.
Jeez, I don't want to expose him, but no, I haven't. In fact, it's funny. It's become a bit of a running joke in my family, at least, that it's not a Friday night at Woolies if something hadn't gone wrong. Every week there's. It would be rare without a week that some fridge alarm's going off that I've got to deal with, and what. At least, look, I'm not going to bag out. The fridges are fine. Come to Woolies. The stock is fine. Nothing wrong with the stock. I just have to check out the fridges sometimes. No, there was one customer. This is during the lockdowns, where we had someone on the door making sure everyone was checking in. And this customer, I think the guy we are on the door got a call from, because he was also working in a city store, so he was working in two stores. He had two bosses, so one of his other boss rang him on the job, so he took that phone call and went outside, and one of the customers came in and complained that he can't do his job when he's on the phone outside, which, fair enough. But it is one thing, to come up and tell me to discipline my employee. And then, in fact, he was so upset that he ended up asking if I could write a letter explaining the situation and how much we apologise for the situation, and it can be hand-delivered to his address, which I don't know if it happened or not. I was like, this is above me. I wrote a note to the store manager and let them deal with it. But that's probably the most crazy story. Actually, I will touch on one more story. I often wonder if I should be getting commission sometimes. I have sold large quantities of things before. So those Woolies 750ml bottles. I think the massive ones are 1.5 litres. These are just your regular everyday bottles. They're pump size. Anyway, so those Woolies, they get very scrunchy. Probably not great for the environment, but you can buy them in 30 packs. And I think actually I've sold twice very large quantities of them. I think at one point I might have sold 15 30-pack of waters. No, it was all in one go. One customer. I can't remember if I managed to convince them to buy more or anything, but there's been a couple times where someone will be like, oh, how many 30-pack of these waters have you got? I'll take the lot. And look, I don't know what they're doing with it, but I'll take it.
Party, I reckon.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, no, we love that. And obviously the main thing we want to talk about is running, because we just finished the 1500 bit. You started running during lockdown, similar to me a bit. What's your favourite running memory so far? Because you've achieved so much in such
I don't know about that. It's funny though, because running is very relative, and the better you get, the more you realise you're not that good. Anyway, so I'd say my marathon was probably the most memorable, just because I did start during lockdown, but I think it was January 2020. I just finished up high school, moving to Melbourne, which meant I was moving away from most of my friends. Didn't really know many people in Melbourne. So being having a tennis background, it's a bit hard to play tennis by yourself. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, look, I actually did a bit of running when I was younger. I used to run for Bendigo University, who I think is a part of the athletic leagues. Andy Buchanan, I'm pretty sure. Actually, when I was... Well, so Bendigo Bats is like the region. So that encompasses all, I think, 4 Bendigo clubs. So there's South Bendigo University, Eagle Hawk, and Harriers. So I think actually originally I started at Harriers, and then we had a few friends that were at Bendigo Uni and said, "Oh, Harriers has quite a competitive culture, whereas Melbourne Uni it has it's a bit friendlier. They have on Saturdays cross country during the winter." Where they have a 1K for the little kiddies, a 3K for, I guess, intermediate, and then they'll have a long one, which can be sort of, I don't know, 7, 8, 9Ks kind of thing. I ran the 3K pretty much every week. Had good fun there. And once you finish, it was really communal. Everyone would bring some kind of food along, put it out on a little spread, and everyone has had sort of afternoon tea after their run. So that was good fun. And there was plenty of people from school that did that, which was... I've actually forgotten what the question was. I've gone off many tangents here.
Your favourite running memories.
Oh, okay. Right. So yeah. So I guess that's where I first started, and I won the school cross country a few times, and went to regionals and things. And then I think I was in year 5, I got a thing called Sever's disease, which is in your heel, which meant I really couldn't run for about 2 years. And then that was when I sort of started getting into tennis. And so I was like, oh well, I'll just give up running. Anyway, so fast forward to end of year 12, you can't play tennis on your own. So I was like, you know what? I got around running. Why don't I just go for a few runs here and there? Yeah. And obviously, someone like me, I'm not satisfied with just going for a few runs. I was like, I've got to have some kind of goal. So I spoke to a couple of friends of mine who I think did the city surf through school a few years. And yeah, we said, you know what? Let's train for a half marathon. No idea how difficult that was going to be. They did some training, and then I think once they got into uni, they sort of got a little distracted. But actually, they're doing Sandy Point half marathon in a couple of weeks. No, was it next Sunday? That's going to be their half marathon. But yeah, so then I ran I think my first half marathon in maybe April, just around the streets. And then I was like, well, if I've done halfway, let's do the full one.
How's that?
Yeah, so then, fast forward to, that was a month, maybe six weeks ago. That's when I did my first marathon, first and only marathon. There might be ones to come, but at the moment, that was... Yeah, mate, exactly. We'll do it together. So I'd say that's my favourite running memory, just because it's something that you look back on and say... When I first started out, I'm pretty sure I ran about 1 kilometre and I got puffed and I was like, no, I can't. I walked after 1 kilometre. And to go from there to running a full marathon is, to be able to see that kind of progress is, makes you feel good about, I guess your fitness and just general life outcome, that you're more in control of your life than what you actually think. So yeah, I'd say that's my favourite. I've got a bit of a tangent there, but yes, that would be my favourite.
Yeah, and it's amazing, obviously, because we pretty much ran like through lockdown in similar ways, and it's changed a bit. I guess, how have your goals and aspirations changed? Because obviously now we're in track season and you're focusing more on like the shorter stuff. Yeah,
because of the corona last year, I wasn't a part of the club this time last year. But yeah, this is my first track season. So yeah, I'm super keen to do track and whatnot. So I guess 800, 15, 3 and 5. I might do a 10k here and there, but I guess really the short stuff that I'm looking forward to getting around here.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be plenty of PBs. Yeah, what's your main kind of?
Well, I guess so the 8 was last week I ran the 207. Coming down from the 211. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Being at the start of the season, you've got so much still to run. But I think if I can get around that sort of maybe 202 by the end of the season, that'd be great. For the 15, maybe around that 415 point. That it's doable, ambitious, but let's aim high kind of thing. 3k at the moment it's under 10 minutes. I think I'm probably around that fitness level at the moment. So I'm by the end of the season, hopefully a little bit lower than that as well. And then 5k probably sub 17 would probably be the main goal. Hopefully be able to do that this season.
Yeah, I'm sure the speed work Ellie's been talking about.
Well, if she says so.
Just a fun one. Like, why should everyone run? Because all my mates are like, "How are you running?" Like, they don't know the true benefits. Like, runner's high. There's like plenty of enhancements.
I think when you first start out, it can be discouraging. Seeing people that have been running for a few years and they go for like an easy run or whatever, and they make it look effortless. But little do they realise it doesn't take long to get to that fitness level. Because your easy runs, they don't have to go. You don't have to go quickly. It's all about just enjoying yourself. I think fundamentally, it's just coming down to doing it for yourself. In 5 years' time, you're going to look back at this point and go, I'm glad I sat on the couch and didn't do anything. Or am I, glad that I actually did something with my life and, just got some fitness in. Like, you're becoming healthier. You're probably extending your lifespan. And what's also great, if people have, heart conditions and whatnot, running's really great for that. And just in general, like the social aspect of running, you might not think of it because it's seen as a very individual sport, but I think where it is quite individual, you have a lot of camaraderie. I love coming down to Melleuish on a Monday and Wednesday to chat to Jez and to everyone else, because when you anyway, the Bell Lap boys of Wes, Dante, Felix, and Pat. Hopefully they'll be watching this.
Get a few of them on as well.
So you're going to come down and you're working hard, but it's all fun at the end of the day. I don't see a lot of negatives to running, but just more broadly, I think find your passion, find the fitness that makes you happy. It doesn't necessarily have to be running. But just get out there, be active. You're going to feel so much, like in the moment, you're not going to feel great because it hurts to push yourself and get your heart rate up. But you feel so much better afterwards. You're going to have a much better outlook on life. So, yeah, I'd say that. Yeah.
Oh, that's a brilliant answer. Please run, everyone. Doesn't matter. Now it's the spotlight segment. So, I guess touching on other sports. Talk us through your tennis journey in terms of playing. We'll start off with that.
I think I started maybe year 3. How old are you in year 3? Like 10 or something?
Maybe.
I don't know. Somewhere around there. Just started off doing some group lessons with Steve Storer back in. Shout out to Steve Storer out in the go. He was my coach throughout all of tennis. Worked up to being a part of development squads and whatnot. I think by the time I think around age 14, maybe 15, I was in the top Bendigo squad, and then I think I was also I might have one year got the MVP of like the top junior league. I think maybe I was 14 or 15. And then from there I graduated into playing senior tennis. I got to represent the region a few times, the Loddon Capacity region, which I think encompasses from Bendigo up to Echuca kind of thing. Relatively large area, but I guess out there there's not a lot of people, so you got to have a large area to be able to encompass a few people. That was good fun. I didn't, from there I wasn't, I guess, good enough to play for Vic Country, but it was, I guess just great. Actually, it's the same kind of vibe that you get with running. I certainly valued the social aspect a lot more. Made some, just even singles, like it's very similar to the ABSL, where you might be sitting around, you watch some people race, you have a chat to people, and then you might race and people watch you. Same thing with tennis. You have matches on all day, and so I've got great fond memories of being down at the tennis courts on a tournament day, and I'd get there at 8 o'clock in the morning. My first match might not be till 1 o'clock or something, but I've got mates that are playing throughout the day, and you watch them. You go to mixed fish and chips. You obviously get your chicken salt for lunch, and have doubles in the afternoon. You go home at 6. Played. You might have only played 2 matches, but you've been there for 6 to 10 hours. Been there for 10 hours, and you've had a blast. And I guess mum's happy about me being out of the house, keeping me out of her hair. So I think by maybe it was year 10 or year 11, I got into A grade, so the Premier League tennis in Bendigo. Played just with friends, and by the time hit year 12, playing really well, and I was looking to continue that through uni, and play for the uni. Unfortunately, the Corona happened, and Corona happened, and running took over. I think tennis as a sport, really failed this pandemic. Given it's such a social distancing kind of sport, I think we really failed to capitalize on that, and not being able to play for months and months at a time, it ruins your form, and generally just ruins your enjoyment. And so that's where my love for running has kicked in.
Yeah, and you said you had a powerful serve as well. Was that your main?
I don't know if I said that in exact words. I did say that my serve was probably my best aspect of my game. Whether that was any good or not is up to public opinion. But I'd say serve, forehand was my strong points. Backhand and probably the smash was probably the weakest. If the viewers play me later on, probably don't take note of what I've just said, because you will beat me then. Serve and forehand, I would say, was my stronger strokes.
Yeah, no, that's good. We'll definitely have a game. Maybe New Year's, we'll see how we go.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
2 more on tennis. There's obviously lots to cover, but I love Roger Federer. So do you. How did that all come about? My favorite memory was the AO 2017, because obviously I was old enough to witness that. But what about yourself? How was Roger a major influence to you? And what's your favorite Roger memory?
Yeah, I think growing up, he was really dominant in 06, 07 kind of era, which I wasn't super. I was 2001. I was born for the viewers out there. I was sort of I don't know, 7 years old around that point, and so I was old enough to understand how tennis worked, and that he was at the top of the sport, and I guess all those years of knowing he was the best, that was what drew me at first, and then growing up playing tennis, you also idolize the people that are good role models, and people that are respectable and someone that you should be looking up to. So that really continued through to today. I mean, unfortunately, he looks like he's going to retire within the next. I don't know where he's going to retire, but he's not looking good at the moment. But I will say that it is interesting you brought up the AO 2017. So we can bring up the ball kids stories here. We'll start from the beginning of the ball kid journey. Yeah. So I think in Bendigo we had a thing called the Pro Tour, which was just it's an Australian tour. You players who are not quite good enough for touring the world, but still, they're looking to break through. So you still had some fairly big names, relatively big names that played in the Pro Tour, and so for that kind of level event, you need ball kids for it. And I think Mum saw that there was a thing at the tennis club saying if anyone any little tackers want to come and have a bit of a roll, as they say, come along, and I did that for I think 2 years, and then by the time I was 12 years old, that was when the window of when you can become a ball kid for the Australian Open. So I circled in the calendar of the level 1 trials, which we spoke about, that your friend was a little unfortunate, wasn't able to. I'm sorry, Tom. So I wasn't really expecting much of it. I didn't really know what kind of standard the Australian Open ball kids were at compared to Bendigo ball kids. Managed. So I was surprised to see that I got through that first level. Second level, that was in Melbourne. Managed to pass that as well, and then you go into a thing called a train-on squad, which is about 4 months where you go down to Melbourne once a month, and you do a training session where they grade you each training session, and then after that training session they'll release your grade of pretty much different aspects of your ability. So things like rolling the ball, servicing the player, throwing the ball to him, highly technical stuff. And so it's basically so I think level 1 there's normally around 4,000 kids that try out. I think level 2, so they whittle that down to I think 2,000 kids for level 2 trials. And then that gets cut to I think about 750 to become a part of the train-on squad, and then for the final to actually make the final cut of the Australian Open ball kids, I think they've then picked 350 from there. So it is a fairly large cut down from 4,000 to 350, but luckily, I think I didn't make for the first year. I didn't make the final cut. I was put on a thing called the wait list, which basically means you're, I think, a part of the next 30 best ball kids that they found. Turns out I was actually at the very top of the wait list, so I was only one position off making the actual team. The reason why I found out was because this was 2014, which was one of the hottest Australian Opens we've had in a while. And so they had a lot of ball kids fainting. Because I wasn't a part of the squad at that point. And so it was, I think, day 1 of the Australian Open. I was sitting down on the couch at home, as a lot of kids do, so, settling for the day. Exactly, it's good times. And Mum got a phone call from I think her name was Tanya, who's the head of the ball kids, ringing saying, look, we've got a lot of ball kids that are can't compete. I don't know, play at the moment. I don't know what kind of verb you'd use, but would like to offer you a spot. Can you please come down to Melbourne and be a part of the Australian Open for this year? So that was crazy, and I think the first match I got on, and I don't know, I'm caught like 25 or something. Just nothing crazy, but. Sorry? Yeah, well, that's the thing is, you're honing your skills, and every time you go on court, they grade you. there's always a supervisor watching of how good your skills are, and depending on if you string a few good days in a row, you might get a show court here or there. But I think it's something that you don't realise on TV, that you got your big courts like Rod Laver and Hisense now, what's it called, John Cain or something. But you've got probably 5 show courts, maybe 6 show courts, but you've got like 20 courts in total. So majority of the courts are just everyday courts that no one really wants, and so the vast majority of ball kids, the vast majority of the time, are doing those courts that no one really cares about. And so you've really you've got to put in the hard work. And my first year, I think I might have gotten Margaret Court once. That was towards the end of the tournament. It might have been just some like junior mixed double or something. But at that point, I couldn't believe my luck that I was on this massive court. So then I tried out again the next year, managed to get in first go, no wait list this time. Second year, I thought I did a bit better. I don't think I got a few show courts, but nothing major. Like I didn't get Rod Laver or anything like that. So that was, I guess, a little disheartening. But I knew, it's a 4-year term that you can be a ball kid for, and I knew I've still got 2 more years that I can prove myself and try to make a lasting memory. And so third year rolled around, and this is 2016. And so just you done some good maths there. So third year roll around, and still was, we're not getting great courts here or there, and for the first few days or whatnot, and I think it might have been day 6 or 7. This is probably round 3. I walked in and to the little you get a room, like a big room that all the ball kids are in, and they put up at the start of every day the list of every single person on which court. Well, you get your code, which is like, you might be like C1 or whatever, and that translates to whichever court you're on. So I saw, I think, my name, and I saw there was I think it had A1 on it, which you might imagine A is a good number, or letter. It's a letter, in fact. And yes, it turns out I got Rod Laver that day. Which first time on Rod Laver, and what are the odds? I got Roger Federer. He was playing Grigor Dimitrov, I think, in the third round. No, it was third round. And it could have been 4th round. Memory's all hazy, but it was 4. Actually, it was 4-setter. I think Grigor might have taken the second. And I think who else had? I think maybe Angelique Kerber as well on that day, and I think maybe Serena Williams as well. Which is just unbelievable experience. You go 2 years not getting really anyone. I think the best player, if you know him, I think best player I had was Andrea Seppi from Italy. He was, oh really? Yeah, well he was a bit bigger back in the day. He's sort of dropped off now. He might have retired. I don't know. It was a big moment for me, and I remember going. So basically, towards the end of the tournament, you have a thing called a ball kid party. It's not an actual party. It's just it's
all right.
Yeah, it goes all right. But the whole point of the party is they announce all the ball kids that made the finals, and so like your men's, women's final, doubles, mixed doubles, and all those things. And so you also get a gift. So they give you a present each year, which actually they're quite good. I think my first year I got a GoPro. Second year was I think a Beats pill, like as a speaker. Third year I think was some Beats headphones, and then 4th year I think I got a Fitbit and a few other things. Anyway, so the ball kid party was the main thing of. Everyone wants to know if they've made the finals, and I think it's the top 50 ball kids get a final, roughly around there. Yeah. Just showing you maths today. I went into that thinking, I've done, I got Rod Laver, and I probably in with a bit of a chance here. Unfortunately, I didn't get a final there. But again, it's one of those things that you work hard, you come back the next year, and you give it another go.
happened in
And
2017?
so, well, that's the thing. We're 2017 now, which is my final year. So it's it's do or die. And I did. Oh, exactly. So I remember, I think leading up to it, I did a few training sessions just by myself, like going down to the local club, just rolling some balls, because it's something that you just got to keep honing your skills. And so I think I managed to get Rod Laver maybe in the second round, which was promising, because if I'm getting it early on, I might be in with a bit of a chance of showing that I'm of a good enough quality to get a final. And I'm pretty sure I got Roger Federer again in the second round. Playing I think Noah Rubin of the US. Dispatched of him. Can't remember. Oh, I think I had Goff versus Team. Oh wait, no, I've forgotten. I made Rod Laver a second time that year. I think it was the fourth round. That was when Goff played Team.
I was there.
Oh, you? Oh, really? Oh, maybe, I don't know. You might have seen me. So I can't remember all the matches that I did, but definitely getting 2 Rod Lavers in a year is something that I guess is Roger twice is something that I guess is notable, that you would say is you're in for a chance of making a final. In fact, leading up to the final few days of the tournament, they start putting together like quality ball kid squads, because regularly they just chuck roughly whoever in. Obviously it's ability, but towards the final days they put the absolute best ball kids together, just so they can get used to working together, because they're going to be working a final, so they want it to be a premium product for the players. And I remember walking in one day and seeing that I was a part of that best team. And so the crazy thing about being part of that best team is you get so throughout you get one supervisor that will watch the court and grade all 6 ball kids on the court at once. When you're in that top team, you get one supervisor per ball kid, and so you'll have just one person that will be watching everything you do for that entire day, grading, making sure you're really who they want to be in the finals. And so that also goes for picking who they want to be the best ball kid for that year, because the best ball kid gets a trip to France and gets to be a ball kid at the French Open. And so came to the ball kid party, and I was based on that. I was fairly confident I was going to get a final. I wasn't sure which final, but I was lucky enough when they called my name to be in the top squad for the men's final. So it's funny you mentioned the Roger Federer in 2017, because I was a ball kid for that match. I know we've got bombshells blowing up over here. So I guess I'll talk you through that day, because I was speechless at that time. Going through that day, I remember the night before I couldn't sleep, as you'd imagine. I woke up, went out for breakfast with my mum, and just try to, I guess, keep my mind off it. Got in there. Normally you don't warm up or anything before you go out in court, but because it was such a special occasion, they actually got us to warm up on Rod Laver before the match started. So they had obviously all the lights going off and the crowd starting to come in, and because it's a night match, so it's great atmosphere and all that. And when it went back, and because I was part of the top squad for the men's final, I got to start the match off. So I got to be there when Federer walked out and Nadal walked out. I was one of the baseline kids. So I was at the back where the towers are. So throughout the match, I think it was in the third set, I was quite prominent on TV. I was giving both Nadal and Federer their towels, various times. Especially in Nadal, he gets very sweaty. I'll tell you that much. His towel. I couldn't remember how often he would change it or anything, but Like Federer, when you get his towel, you get like little patches of sweat.
But it's not like
And it's not disgusting, but
Nadal,
Nadal, it's like you put it in water. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's kind of disgusting. I don't know if it's going to happen because of Corona. I don't know if that's ever going to go back to the case, but yeah, that was probably one of my most memorable experiences of my entire life of being a part of that, especially because being Federer and Nadal is such an iconic duo. Yeah, I was there in the background, and in fact when Federer, he got his trophy. Then he does his speech and all that, and then when he comes down, he then gets a picture with like all the photographers, and the ball kids come in as a nice little thing to, I don't know, background or whatever. I was a part of those 12 ball kids that were standing next to him while he had the trophy. I think he said something to us or something, but I've got a bit of an iconic photo of when he was asking some questions to us. There was a cameraman that took a photo of when he was looking at me, and so I think I might have that hanging up or something at home. But yeah, I mean, yeah, what an experience that was. Yeah, I mean, I just want to preface it. It's funny that this is brought up because it was only today that I was talking to Jerry and saying, what we're going to be talking about in the potty and all that, and yeah, it came up that I was a ball kid and all that, and he was like, it's such an iconic thing looking back at the 2017. That was such a great one, and I was like, little do you know, man, little do you know. Yeah.
Well, that is incredible, mate. Definitely have to clip this and put a special note there. Yeah, so that's your favourite ever Roger moment, pretty much. I also got the ball kids. I think a few of the officials also get ones. I also got to keep one of the match balls. Unfortunately, I didn't get it signed or anything, but I did write men's final on it, making sure I'd never lose it. There has been a few moments where I thought I've lost it, but it still turned up, and it's in my bedroom under lock and key. So I've got a few bodyguards protecting it at all times. We love that story, mate. I'm sure we'll touch on it outside of his podcast.
Yeah.
That's incredible, Jack. Biggest flex. You should talk about it.
Oh yeah.
Anyone who goes to Roger Federer.
Yeah, I remember. When I finished that, it was difficult keeping it in, like going back to school, because everyone's talking about it. They're like, oh, I can't believe you did that and all that. But it's sort of you gotta take it in and be proud of your accomplishments, but still try to keep it under control of your ego and all that.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's hard to segue.
Yeah. Well,
hopefully Roger can come back. I'm hoping Wimbledon next year.
Yeah. I saw in the news that he's definitely cancelled Australia. But yeah, we'll see. Probably he's going to be last Wimbledon. But yeah, we'll see. We don't want to talk about that.
If we do see him 2023, we have to book tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing I want to touch on now briefly is music. So what kind of music do you listen to and what do you go for? Mainly
listen to American hip hop. So I guess assuming what kind of big, the names that I'm talking about. The big ones, probably Kanye. I'm the biggest fan of. Last album was fire, quite frankly. Not his greatest, but I certainly don't think he's his worst. I don't know. That man is a genius, quite frankly. It's a hot take, but massive fan of him. Drake is, he's the biggest artist on the earth for a reason. He constantly puts out tunes. Kendrick Lamar, I think he's one of the greatest, and even some old stuff. Don't mind a bit of Biggie, Tupac. Moving through the 2000s, bit of Jay-Z, 50 Cent. Newer stuff, it's here or there. I'm not a big fan of the mumble rap and all that. I find it can be just a bit samey.
It's repetitive.
I feel like rap's a really interesting genre where you've got kind of two avenues that you can go down of the real catchy stuff and then the deep and meaningful stuff that you the deep and meaningful stuff that you get to you sort of think you can listen to and think about what they're saying, and I like a good mixture of that, but I don't know, when you just can't understand what they're saying, it just doesn't hit different. Yeah, it doesn't hit the same, you know. So I'd say American hip hop is the main thing I listen to.
That's good. And what's your pump up song before a race?
I've got like a playlist. It's called my running playlist. That I've just got all the hype tunes. But I think, I mean, it's a bit overplayed. But I think what's it called, Lose Yourself, Eminem. I think it's a bit hard to go past that. I think that probably you could make a good argument that being probably one of the greatest rap songs ever made. Yep, I'd lock in that. Yeah. I'd say that's probably the best hype up song. Yeah.
Mine's Hall of Fame. So
oh yeah, that's the scripts. Yeah. That's that. Yeah, tune. I mean, it's all about sport, isn't it? So yeah.
So awesome tunes, mate. And now moving on to the money segment. I'm sure you've prepared for
Oh, the money segment. Oh, you paying me?
We call it the funny stories. So other from your schooling days, you're running, you want to share to listeners, Jack?
I've got, I guess, one. Oh, I mean, we'll go with two.
Yeah.
Last week. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, so two. I'd say I don't know if I've got any really funny running stories, but certainly school was plenty of school times. I guess one iconic moment. I think it was year 11. We had a real good rivalry with like the year 12s at the time, and soccer was a real strong theme going through both years. And I think one day someone suggested, let's have because we had like it was a small soccer field at school. It just wasn't well maintained. It's like it was just a park with two goalposts at the end. But it wasn't lined or anything. But we still we were like, one day let's just have a kick about. Let's just play a match. Because I think it actually probably came about that I think we were playing a match and they were playing a match and we were just getting in each other's way, and so we're just like, let's play against each other. It'd be a good rivalry in the two, because you got sort of the year 12s that are a bit beefier, because you've got that one, they're older as well as a bit cockier because they're older, obviously bigger because they're older, but also you got that year 12. Some people put on a few extra kilos during year 12 of all the stress, so they've got a bit of muscle behind them as well. So it started off like that, and it sort of accumulated into something really big that we used to play. I think at the end of each semester we'd have like an official game where we'd all leave class like 5 minutes early. We'd go into the change rooms, we'd do a walkout, sing the national anthem, and have a game, and just through lunch, and obviously when that final bell sounds, that's the end of the game. Obviously great moments through that, and it all accumulated into, we called it the Dairy Derby, because the oval was called London Dairy Oval, and it was a real derby, I tell you. I remember I think because at the very end of the years is the day before the year 12s, because the year 12 final day they do a lot of special stuff. So but like you have like special lunches and stuff on that final day. So we decided to do it the day before that so they could actually do it. And we booked that as like the big final. I had a mate of mine that made a shield up that had like London Dairy, the Dairy Derby, winners, and that for each year that would put pencil in who won the year 11s or 12s, and. I just remember it was just absolute chaos. Like we had, I think, one bloke had a GoPro on filming the whole thing, and it is on your show. I think it's pirated. We got a bit in trouble through that. And we had, I think we ended up winning it, but we got in big trouble. There was a bunch of spot fires of people kicking off, and there was no refs, so. It got very hectic at some points, but that became a bit of a tradition. And the next year we were the year 12s and we played against the year 11s, and that final the day before our final day, so that year 12, when we were in year 12, so the second year of this Dairy Derby, was so intense that afterwards the school band organised soccer matches because of it. There was a bloke in my year that just picked up the ball towards the end and started running, and the entirety of year 11 just tackled him. He got a massive gush on his head. Just almost suffocated. Yeah, proper, like, I don't know what that guy was on. But so that I think I believe they still do it a little bit in secret till this day. But yeah, it got that intense that the school banned all soccer matches because of it. So that was I guess an iconic school moment. But the second one, which there's a reason why I say it till last, was you got Foursquare.
Oh, down ball.
Down ball, Foursquare, whatever you want to call it. At our school, you had the four squares, and then you'd have a small gap, and then you'd have another small four squares. So as in they're lined up. Yeah. So they're lined. You might we didn't just have a 1-4 square just in the middle of the school. It was like a whole section of these are the down ball courts kind of thing. And so I think one day someone was like, why don't we draw a line, like 3 lines between them, and we'll have 10 squares instead of 4 squares. And we called it hectic ball because it was hectic. And there was the amount of crazy we had things like plays were on, and so if someone made a mistake, hit it out or anything, as long as you didn't pick up the ball, you could still tap it up in the air and throw it to a mate of yours. And if they play it, then the game continues. And we got to a point where we'd have teams, and so you'd be affiliated. I think there was down ball. We had 2 clubs, downball.com and because there was an Instagram page and everything, and I think some of the boys still have their cover photo on Facebook as our team photo, and it just got super hectic. Again, you'd have spot fires. Because people would disagree of what the rules are. Also, I just want to preface, if my voice is sounding a bit weird of coffee and all that, is because the 1500 really took it out of me. So you'd have boys that each lunchtime, with the spot fires, you have your jumper punches in footy. Would do that, but because we went to a private school, we had button-down shirts, and so the jumper punches would rip the buttons off. Oh, no. And so there were some kids that would just go along, and instead of doing a proper jumper punch, they'd just rip all your buttons off, and so you'd have to walk around the school, just with no buttons on and showing off all your abs. Obviously, some boys like that more than others. Anyway, so that sort of, I guess, sets a scene of how intense this can get. And one day, Sharkies? No. Okay, so... The one with a jumper? No. So Sharkies, maybe it's a country thing, I don't know. But Sharkies is basically when you, instead of hitting into your square, you can hit someone with the ball without it bouncing, and if you hit them, they're out. So instead of hitting into your square, you hit them. So it's like... I haven't played Gaga, but basically it's like... So it almost turns into a bit of dodgeball at some points. But obviously if you miss them, you're out because you haven't hit it into your square. And so I wasn't a big fan of the rule, but we play with it on anyway. And I had a mate of mine that was in the next square of mine. I went to just play it regularly, just down to into my square. He came over with the Sharky, and hit, connecting with the ball. He hit my finger at the time, and I was like, oh geez, that hurt. And I was like, oh gee, I've jarred my finger there. That obviously it takes 10 minutes for a jarred finger to feel normal again. It died down a bit, the pain, and went to assembly, and it puffed up a bit. Actually, it was on my left hand, which is actually the hand I write in, which isn't ideal going into the last period of the day. Wait, did I say right hand or left hand? Just said. Oh yeah, left. I just sometimes I get ahead of myself. I went to 5th period and still kind of hurt. Went home and said, "Oh, Mum, my finger's still kind of hurting. I thought I jarred it, but it still kind of hurts and still puffed up. And I'm feeling like I feel a little sick. Like I feel like I want to throw up a little bit. Which if anyone knows a bit of medicine, that's typically not a good sign if you want to throw up after an injury. So he's like, oh look, sleep on it. If it's still bad, we'll go to the hospital the next day and we'll get it checked out. So yeah, went to the hospital the next day and found out that during that Sharky, the guy actually had dislocated my finger, and in the process of dislocating my finger, had ripped part of the bone off my finger as well. Which is just like, it's not a funny story, but it's an iconic story, because now for the rest of my life, I get to say that I have broken a finger playing down ball, which is great.
This one stumps a few people, Jack. We'll see how you go on this bit. Like, what's the best piece of advice that someone has ever given you?
Given I have watched a couple of these episodes, I have seen this question being I've listened to a few of these, so I did have a think about if there's any pieces of advice I've been given over the years. I don't know if someone had been given this to me or I just come up with it. I wouldn't have come up with it, I don't know. But the main thing, especially during year 12, that I guess I lived by was the concept of you'll thank yourself later, which is really trying to imagine you as your future self. Are you going to be proud of what your past self has done? Like, and yeah, for year 12, this applies to, I guess, academics and studying, where you can either study for an hour now, or like after dinner, go and study for an hour, or you can just watch some TV or whatever you want. And that next day, are you going to be happy that you spent that time just watching Netflix and not doing anything, or are you going to be proud of the fact that you've gone and studied? And I think that then also you can expand that more broadly in life and here in running, that if you go on a long run now, you're going to thank yourself. I know a few months down the track where you're seeing all these improvements. Where if you hadn't done it, you probably wouldn't have seen those improvements. So, definitely throughout year 12, and I guess maybe not so much now, but mainly because I've just been living by this kind of idea for so long that I've gotten just used to just living by it. That thinking that you're gonna work for your future self and not your current self.
No, we love that. You'll thank yourself later, and relates to the quote of the podcast, which is, push yourself because no one else is going to do it for you. Like, because if you keep pushing and putting in the work, it's going to pay off eventually. Then you look back and you don't regret it. You're proud of it, like you said.
Yeah, and I think especially year 12, it's such a tough year because you've got so many 18ths and whatnot going on, and you want to go out and party with your friends and whatnot, but. Yeah, and still do that, of course. And you've got to have a good balance. But I think so many people go wrong in year 12 where they get too carried away in the partying and whatnot, and don't think about what they really want their life to be turning out, because it's something that you don't realize until later on down the track of how important I guess your year 12 ends up being if you don't do it right. Like, I'm not talking about the score in the end. Like, the score doesn't matter too much. But the idea of you've got to work hard enough to get into a university that you want to get into, because then that sets yourself up for the next stage in life. Because if you go wrong at that first stage, you're not going to be able to get to that second stage. So I think definitely. The idea of working towards, you're working for your future self is something that's really important. I think at your age, where it's very easy to lose track of your goals.
Just gonna keep going and try and AC at 12 next year. But
I'm sure you will.
Yeah. This one's about movie and book recommendations. So do you have a movie or book you kind of recommend?
Yeah, well, I will say, again, this follows the line of English not being my strong point. I don't read. I read online, news art. I'm really, I get around. That sounds weird, but I keep up with the news quite a lot. I probably watch more news than read it, but certainly on Facebook and things like that, things pop up, and I'll read articles and whatnot. But apart from that, I don't really read. I think obviously it's good to read and keep that skill. But in terms of getting information in, I don't think it's anywhere better or worse or anything than a podcast or shows or whatnot. Especially podcasts. There's so many out there that you can get so many different takes on certain things. But movies, I do get around movies. I think all-time favorite movie. I don't know if I think it might have come out in like the late 90s, but it's called Good Will Hunting. And it's Matt Damon and and it was Robin Williams. They just make such a great team, and I think that was one of Matt Damon's first movies actually. When it's loosely based on some very famous mathematicians. One in particular, a guy called Ramanujan, who was a very poor Indian man that got invited to come over to England to study with a guy called Hardy, he only learnt from maths textbooks that he found just on the street, and through that he's able to prove things that people with the highest level of education in England, going through Cambridge and all that, wouldn't be able to prove, and so it's crazy to think that someone that had such a deprived childhood, like in the movie where he's an orphan and often struggled to find his way, still able to do great things in life.
100%. What about recently?
There was one that came on Netflix, which is I only clicked on it because it's such an iconic movie that I thought I've got to be a part of the culture. It's called Marley and Me. Have you heard of it?
Oh yeah.
And it's something that everyone talks about. Oh, you know what? I cried or something in that movie, and I was, as someone that I don't cry often at things. I got a little bit teary. I got a little bit teary-eyed. It was such a beautiful moment of him with the dog on the. I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but the connection that they build, I guess I will say that.
Yeah, they first hate the dog, and then it just
grows on. And it's just I guess speaks more broadly to relationships that we have in life of they're finite, and it's sort of it makes me want to go and really make the most of the people that are around me before it's too late.
Yeah, just check it out, guys, because those two are classic. Quick hands. So 5 questions, Jack. Pineapple and pizza, yes or no?
It's a definitely no. No, yeah.
Interesting. English or maths?
Maths, yeah.
What was your favourite subject growing up?
Probably PE early on, and then year 12 it would be spec, or spesh as you guys call it.
Favourite place to visit in Melbourne? Because we all know the fish and chip shop in Bendigo.
Yeah. I know that's my favourite place in Bendigo, but it is great. Favourite place in Melbourne? I haven't really been out and about that much because my entirety of my Melbourne experience has been lockdowns. But I certainly, I don't know. I'm not a big place person. Like I don't go, I have to go to this place. With me, it's far more about who I'm with. Like I think. Look at us right now. We're just sitting in a park. It's a lovely day just by the Melleuish River. But there's nothing much to it, and I'm having a great time. So, I'd say it's far more about who you're with than at what place you're at.
And are you a morning or night person, Jack?
I'd say morning person.
I guess to cap things off, what's next for you in 2022 and beyond? What are your top 3 major goals, Jack?
Going into next year, I guess we're looking at different aspects of my life. You've got running, which is fairly big now. I would like to, I guess, priority 1 would be just staying injury free. I say I'm in running for the long haul, and consistency is a key for that aspect. In terms of times, I'm not too fussed about. Yeah, if it comes, it comes. I've running the marathon was really the only major goal I had in running. So at this point, it's just trying to enjoy it. Uni, I mean, I'm going into my final year of my bachelor's degree. So I guess the goal would be to finish it. And then I guess thirdly, it's something that I guess most people have learnt in life is, or as in recently, that life's too short to just do stuff you don't want to do, and just sit at home doing nothing. I want to really make the most of this year, going out and obviously still staying relatively focused on my studies and all that, but making the most of going out with friends, whether that be running or nights out or whatever. Yeah.
Obviously, I've learned a fair bit, especially about Roger Federer's story. Like, I'm gonna tell a few, mate.
Oh, jeez. I don't know.
Mate.
Yeah.
The Bruce McInerney one, which I'll touch on a bit. Like, it's been a pleasure to chat running, tennis. What else was there? Like uni and just advice in general, because I know a fair few of us will take a lot from this chat, Jack.
Oh, jeez.
Mate, and there's plenty ahead for Melbourne Uni, so like PBs all around in the next couple of weeks. So I guess best of luck with your data science, and all the best. Pleasure to chat.
Oh, my pleasure's been mine, Jez. I've enjoyed myself.